Chitra, thank you so much for taking out time and speaking with us. I would begin by asking you, to talk us through the one point that has been talked about in Indian media a lot these days, that the unopened boxes with the CBI about this case that you mentioned in your book. Now the CBI seems to have come out, at least those officers who were dealing with the case at that point of time, and saying that that's not true. How do you see that?
I would like to talk about the box, but then first of all, this happened about 30 years ago. Okay. Now, with due respect to the officers, so we should be told who opened the box, when was it opened, what were in the boxes. Because if you look at the evidence that Bofors gave to the government of India in that secret meeting that they had in September, they said that the commission was 18.5%. So did they have evidence of 18.5%? Or what was the evidence in the box? Secondly, why would George Fernandez, who was then the defense minister, tell me at the end of 1999 that he was told by Brajesh Mishra to not open the boxes, because presumably these boxes were opened when I was reading in some piece that this box was opened as soon as it came from India. There's another point of confusion, because I read another piece that said boxes. Now, I saw one box. Are there two boxes? So it's very confused what's going on. I mean, what are you saying? Are you saying there were two boxes? Were there one box? And finally, Shuja, this is not a small, it is not a small matter. Can you imagine? It led to the fall of a government, and then it led to Switzerland changing their laws on criminal matters because of Bofors. So are you telling me that we sat in a corner and opened the boxes, and then how many papers were there? And was there a money trail? Where did the money go to? Because according to people I know, the money trail goes further. And that was one of the reasons why, we needed to go into the boxes, because don't forget, what was given to me were photocopies. So this was the first time that there was evidence, hard evidence, that there was a money trail. There was a strong money trail. We won in the Swiss court. The boxes were given to India. It's never happened in the history of India. And are you telling me that a few people just sat down and opened them? This is not being disrespectful of the gentleman who, gave an interview, but we need to respect also processes in the country. This is the problem that I have, that, a democracy like India doesn't depend on a few people. You're looking at the CBI, which is a major agency. You're looking at the Prime Minister's office. You're looking at the judiciary. So, what happened? So if you are saying that, how come other people are saying different things?
So you basically stand by what you've written in your book, right?
I'm saying in my book that as journalists, we need to continue with our investigation. The CBI is saying what it has to say. I have to say what I have to say. And there is another thing here. With due respect, we know that the CBI has planted stories. They planted stories about the Bachchans. You'll recall that. They tried to derail the investigation then in a massive way. And then we found out that there was absolutely nothing on the Bachchans. Bofors also lied. Bofors said that, there was no, we didn't pay. And then, that famous thing where they stage managed. JPC also lied. Given all the string of lies, it's for journalists today to find out what's going on. And now I'm reading in papers that there is the LR that's going to the United States, the letter rogatory. Why to the United States? Why not to Sweden? After all, the biggest investigation, I find it strange, Shuja, that the Indian investigators don't want to connect with the Swedish investigators. Why? That's where the crime took place.
You just spoke about the money trail. Did the money trail show a direct link of bribe money reaching Rajiv Gandhi or the Gandhi family, or was it just the people close to them?
I don't have any evidence. But what I know that it reached Mr. Quattrocchi first to there was a bank in Zurich. the Nord Finance Bank, and then from there he touched the money, and then it went to Geneva, and then his wife came into the account. So then it went further. The money went further. And does the CBI know where the money went? Because journalists in Sweden reported that the money went further. Now, I haven't worked on this story actively, Shuja, but from what I already know, without even working actively and with people calling me, is that if there was some young journalist who wanted to work with me, I would very happily work with them because, I would, there is a money trail. There are money trails back to Sweden. There are quite a few money trails back and forth, different types of inquiries. So I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that my allegiance is to journalism. My allegiance is not to an official agency, not because I think they're good, bad, or indifferent. My allegiance is to my country, and as a fourth estate, I will continue to play that role.
You had mentioned about the agreed meetings, minutes of the meetings between Indian officials and the Bofors executives. And during these meetings, Bofors executives were told to absolve PM Rajiv Gandhi. Why will such discussions be minuted? What is your
Exactly.
take on that?
Why would they be minuted and why would they be secret? Because I think that what I learned, Shuja, is that bureaucrats need documentary evidence to sort of save themselves. Everything is minuted and everything is, you saw the document, I take it, that you've seen the document with this. When such big names, the top dogs of the Indian bureaucracy, and can you imagine that even General Sundarji, who was the chief of army staff, and this is a revelation that should have come out. Chief of the army staff wasn't told about this meeting. Can you imagine the extent of, I want to use a strong word, skullduggery? You're telling this is your top defense person, and then you're trying to meet behind his back, and then he's being called to the parliament to, write a note here, write a note there. So you're doing many things. You're questioning the quality of the gun, which the gun is a super gun. You're sort of talking around loosely, which is a terrible thing to do because, given the office you represent the defense minister, Mr. Gopi Arora, all these, not defense minister, the defense secretary. So why would Bofors even need to say Rajiv Gandhi? It's a good question. Because if you look at the original Swedish story from the radio, they didn't say Rajiv Gandhi was involved. And if you've seen the list, they made a list, no? So-and-so is not involved, so-and-so is not involved. As if they needed to go through it's like I shouldn't be saying it's like a Dhobi account, no? This one is not involved, that one is not involved, this one's cousin is not involved. Are bhai, what are you saying? And then subsequently, in a few years later, they're all involved. Amitabh Bachchan is involved, Mr. Bhatnagar is involved, everybody is involved. So what are we doing here?
I wanted to ask you about the Amitabh Bachchan part.
Mm.
I mean, it was during the VP Singh that all those stories started coming in about the, sixth account being linked to Amitabh Bachchan. How do you see that probe?
Badly. I mean, there was no sixth account, Shuja. There was no sixth account. So, I just need to, you read the book. I mean, you go to Bern, and then you're representing the high office. Remember that the Swiss don't know who Mr. Amitabh Bachchan is. You could say Mickey Mouse. They don't know. And this is not being disrespectful to Mr. Bachchan. So then Mr. Schmidt, who came down, I was sitting with Mr. Borela outside because it was the two people present were Mr. Madhavan and Mr. Jaitley representing the CBI and the Solicitor General. So you should see that the Swiss think that these are very high officers, and they were very high officers. So then I asked Mr. Schmidt, is it over, sir? He said, no, they have new names and they're typing them out. So I said, okay. So then we sat in this car and I was sitting in the front. There were three people at the back. There was Mr. Borela, there was Mr. Jaitley, and there was Mr. Madhavan. And it's a bit of a ride from Bern to Geneva. It's a 2-hour ride. So they were doing some khusfus. So then I said, what is this? They said, oh, sixth account mill, yeah. Suddenly, I mean, you have to, I mean, I was working on this story for 18 months, talking to Sweden, talking to Switzerland. I have another source in Geneva. You're trying to find out. At that point, we didn't know, so we were asking, and then you arrive at 8 in the morning or 10, 8 in the morning, that plane came. You go to Bern, and by 6 in the evening, you have found Mr. Bachchan's account. How on earth is it possible? And even if it was true, the Swiss would never confirm. You see how it works here. They don't confirm or deny anything. I could have said any name. They would just note it down.
Why would they bring in Amitabh Bachchan? I mean,
Because,
what
yeah,
what
I have been thinking about it. Of course, why would they bring in? I think they needed to blame somebody. There was a lot of, there was a lot of, they needed to blame somebody for this. There was so much anger, so much envy. And, Shuja, I mean, Amitabh Bachchan is somebody who doesn't need anyone. He's a star by himself. He needs neither political patronage, nor does he need money. They were trying to bring him down. All governments were trying to bring him down, from Rajiv Gandhi to VP Singh. And, I think people are just jealous of this man. He doesn't need anyone. So then you made him run around from here to there. I mean, he ran from pillar to post, and it was horrible. And I write in the book that he came home, and for me as a young journalist, I was, I've read Harivansh Rai Bachchan, and then you're looking at this person, he's a son of this great poet, the erudition and the dignity of this family, and he's asking me, have you seen my name? How do you think I feel? You reduce this grand actor to some political vendetta. I think it's political vendetta. I think it's envy. And it's just, I don't want to use the word. I mean, it's just horrible what was done to him. And, I'm just very happy, God, I'm just happy that the person has bounced back and doesn't need anybody. And, you just wish them a lot of health and a lot of good luck.
So this Bofors, the entire story is about to turn 40 in next couple of years, no?
Couple of years.
And most of this period, in fact, 15 years, Congress ruled. Then we have BJP, we have had other governments in between. Why does the tale still seem to be, something that we don't know everything about? Do you think there was complexity or unwillingness?
Both. It's a complex story. And you see in the Sundarji interview, he says that everybody was tarred. You tarred the army, even the army. You tarred the judiciary, you tarred the parliament, you tarred the executive. I mean, this was the first time. The Congress has never had such a majority. This was the biggest investigation. They've never come back to their majority since. Complexity of the story, yes, because you bought guns. You spoke about national security. It was not just like you were buying something or manufacturing something small. It was, you were fooling around with the national security of the country. And a story like this, till we know what really happened, will keep coming back. It will. And this book is different because in this book I write about, my deal, my work as a mother, having to add a baby, running around and telling this, my story as a mother, wife, guilt, where am I going? There's no food in the fridge, my goodness, being attacked. So all of that.
So who were threatening you? Do you know who those people were?
Yes, I have a good idea. My bank account was broken into. I write in the book that I was getting money from the UK, from a Mrs. Donovan. So I was getting this, matching my salary. And Mr. Bo Andersson was also getting the same amount in Sweden. So we have a good idea. And it's not right to use the name. But yeah, they said that, we'll kill your son and then time is not on your side. Time is not on your side.
So what part of the Bofors payoff puzzle is still missing according to you?
Nobody believes that 18.5% was not paid. We are going around saying 64 crores, 64 crores, 64 crores, remember?
Yeah.
And Ka, who is my arms dealer friend, told me it's 12%.
Hmm.
It's 12%. And Bofors
Hmm.
actually said 18.5%.
Hmm.
Why should I believe, you see, why should I believe a liar company?
Hmm.
3%, I mean, 3% is 64 crores then. 3% is nothing. But, if an arms dealer can tell me, no, this is this deal, you know how they work. The arms dealers know what is happening. According to me, we need to know how much was paid. What is the real percentage? Because Sten Lindstrom doesn't believe either it was 3%. Why would such a large democracy stand on its head for so little money? Look at the cover up. When the Bofors executives came to India, no, the two of them, they came and they said that they want to give the names to the Prime Minister orally. Then the then Prime Minister said, no, I don't want it orally because nobody will believe me. You should give it to me in writing first. B, what was the need to have so much secrecy around that meeting? I mean, that entire hotel was cordoned off, and Kumi Kapoor, who played a critical role in I said, no, she was a top journalist, and she said it was like a shelter. Nobody could go that side, and then the rooms were especially secured and all that. What was the need for so much security? Okay, commissions were paid. You call them winding up charges. Nobody knows what winding up charges is. In the entire lexicon of arms industry, there's nothing called winding up charges. Okay, you paid winding up charges. So did you really pay them? You see, there are so many questions, Shuja. So according to me, the questions need to be answered. And now I read in some paper that they're sending a letter rogatory to the US. Why? Is there something we need to know? Why are you not sending a letter rogatory to Sweden, where I have seen hundreds and hundreds of documents. I mean, I only picked 350 or 400. There are many more. So then why don't you go there? And then I also know that there were other exchanges with Sweden. So it's very puzzled and it's very muddled.
What kind of exchanges are we talking about? The other exchanges?
I think administrative inquiries, and because this was criminal, this was a criminal inquiry.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So tax evasion, did someone evade tax? So there are
Okay.
a lot of unsaid things, Shuja, a lot of unsaid. And earlier you asked me a question, no, is it complication or is it unwillingness? I think it's both.
Hmm.
And governments only last for this much time. So you put the two together, so it generally looks like. And I think that the nature of the beast of the CBI in India has been like this, sort of.
But what one would assume that the current dispensation or the current party has been there for now third term,
Yeah.
and they're not known to be kind to the Gandhi family. Why would they be complicit in something like this?
Therefore, is there something that they know that they can't talk about? I mean, let's ask this question. Why don't we know then? Exactly.
Hmm.
So, you have been in power for 3 terms.
Hmm.
So is there something that you know? And if you don't know, if you know or if you don't know, why are you sending someone to London and to the United States? You see? अभी
Hmm.
अमेरिका को क्यों भेज रहे हैं? You know, that means you've
Hmm.
been sitting on some information or exactly. These are the
Hmm.
questions that we should ask. After all, you're right. But I just like to go a little further than that my interest in this was not just this political party or that political party, because political parties come and go. It's the institutions that they build are important for me. I mean, 30 years ago, how did this institution look like? Was it 30 years later? It's not so much the prime minister, it's the prime minister's office. And I keep saying this, we have to respect the office of the prime minister. So when you're rattling the office of the prime minister,
Right. Right. So, did you follow the Indian court probes around this case, or you were mostly focused on this Swedish side?
I didn't follow the Indian court cases after the documents were sent, because I felt that my role as a journalist ended there.
Hmm.
and I needed to get on with other stuff as well. I mean, I felt that once the documents were sent to India, everything would go well, like a fool. Now the documents are there, they'll catch the good people, the bad people, and all that. But then it didn't happen. There was so much muddling going on. So then, everybody went to court. There was no case. Mr. Quattriki was allowed to go. But we know that there is more money, We know that there is no more money. And now the government is also confirmed what I'm thinking. Other people in Sweden are thinking that there's more stuff there. So why are you not telling us what you know? Why are you not, Shuja, why are you not sending someone to Sweden? There has never been an investigation between India. They have never connected with Sweden. Does this not seem odd to you?
CBI also sent a judicial request seeking to get details from Michael Hirschman, who was roped in by Finance Ministry in 1986 to investigate money laundering by Indians. I'm just reading some of the bits that we found online as well. And some of them pertain to the Bofors deal as well. Did he ever surface in your investigation?
No.
He did not?
No.
Okay. Could you tell us about more about the role of Arun Nehru in the entire story?
Arun Nehru was quite central. If you've seen in the book, the documents, I've uploaded the documents where he says what should be done, what should be done. There are 5 or 6 points that he makes. And he's also in Martin Adbo's diary. The AE services account was handled by Martin Adbo very closely. He didn't give it to the other person who was the marketing guy, Hans Ekblom. He was the marketing director. So Arun Nehru played a very critical role, and he even told the Swedes that if you talk to other people or if you talk loosely, then you will not get the contract. And he had been in touch with Martin Adbo. So when I met Arun Nehru, I asked him, if you know Martin Adbo, he says no. But then he says, spell the name. So I spelled the name to him. So we said, now I remember. But then he had been dealing with Martin Adbo. So you see, his role was very central. Setting it up, making sure the white track, there were 2 tracks with Vinchada. There was a white track, there was a black track. It was an extremely cleverly set up money things. Like my book, please buy my book. But when I say in my book that if you saw all the documents separately, you can't tell. Each one looks clean. But then when Sten Lindström started to put them together and told me like this, like this, like this, my God, the whole thing just hit.
Who were Tom, Jerry, and Uriah Heep?
Tom and Jerry and Uriah Heep.
Yeah, Uriah Heep. Who were those?
I don't want to tell you. And you should try. I think nice try. But Kumi and I had come up with these names, Tom and Jerry and Uriah Heep. They were trying to derail the investigation. This much I'll tell you.
Okay. I again want to bring you back to Gandhi's. When Rajiv Gandhi started out, he was known as Mr. Clean, and this case took him for a storm, right? So where do you think the connection exactly connects with him or anyone very close to him? Where does the connection?
Ottavio Quattrocchi. I mean, he was in and out of Mr. Gandhi's house. He's known to be dining, and all the contracts went through him. And he told Bofors, that if I don't get you the contract, if AE Services doesn't get you the contract, you don't have to pay me. But the point you made about Mr. Gandhi being Mr. Clean, I mean, I was young. I also didn't want him to be corrupt. I mean, I was also shocked. I wanted India to go ahead. I mean, personally, I felt let down.